So in our Bible story today, Jesus talks a lot about love. He's talking a lot about how big God's love is. And I have a story that some of you, does anybody ever get read a bedtime story at home? Bedtime stories sometimes? So the story that I'm going to read, you might already know, and some of the moms and dads might know it out there already too. But it talks about love better than I ever could. It's a really, really good story. Has anybody ever read this book? Yes? So in this book, right, there's a big bunny, and that's the parent bunny, right? And then there's a little bunny, and that's the kid. We're just going to think about it a little different. We're going to think about the big bunny as being God, and we're going to think about the little bunny as being people, anybody. It could be a kid, or it could be your mom and dad, okay? It's totally your choice. You have choice. Little Nut Brown Hair, who was going to bed, held on tight to Big Nut Brown Hair's very long ears. He wanted to be sure that Big Nut Brown Hair was listening. "Guess how much I love you," he said. "Oh, I don't think I could guess that," said Big Nut Brown Hair. "This much," said Little Nut Brown Hair, stretching out his arms as wide as they could go. Big Nut Brown Hair had even longer arms. "But I love you this much," he said. That is a lot," thought Little Nut Brown Hair. "I love you as high as I can reach," said Little Nut Brown Hair. "I love you as high as I can reach," said Big Nut Brown Hair. "That is very high," thought Little Nut Brown Hair. "I wish I had arms like that." Little Nut Brown Hair had a good idea. He tumbled upside down and reached up the tree trunk with his feet. "I love you all the way up to my toes." "And I love you all the way up to your toes," said Big Nut Brown Hair, swinging him up over his head. How high he is. So high. "I love you as high as I can hop," laughed Little Nut Brown Hair, bouncing up and down. "But I love you as high as I can hop," smiled Big Nut Brown Hair. And he hopped so high that his ears touched the branches above. "That's good hopping," thought Little Nut Brown Hair. "I wish I could hop like that." "I love you all the way down the lane as far as the river," cried Little Nut Brown Hair. "I love you across the river and over the hills," said Big Nut Brown Hair. "Well, that's very far," Little Nut Brown Hair, and he was almost too sleepy to think anymore. Then he looked beyond the thorn bushes out into the big, dark night sky. Nothing could be farther than the sky. "I love you right up to the moon," he said, and he closed his eyes. "Oh, that is very far," said Big Nut Brown Hair. So Big Nut Brown Hair settled Little Nut Brown Hair into his bed of leaves, and he leaned over and he kissed him good night. And then he lay down close by and he whispered with a smile, "I love you right up to the moon and..." So did Big Nut Brown Hair seem to love more than Little Nut Brown Hair? Did Big Nut Hair? And so in some ways, so very much, more than he could possibly say. And that's how much God loves us. But did Little Nut Brown Hair love a lot too? Yeah, Little Nut Brown Hair loved as much as he possibly could, right? And that's what God asks us to do with love. God loves us more than we can possibly imagine. But because of God's love, God says to each of you, he says, "And I need you to love as much as you possibly can." And sometimes it's going to be hard, but you do your very, very best because we know that God loves us. Okay? We need to hold hands and say a prayer. Anybody that wants to hold hands? Sam, you want to hold my hand? Yeah? Okay, all right. Dear God.
Dear God.
Thank you for loving us.
Thank you for loving us.
To the moon and back.
To the moon and back.
Help us to love others.
Help us to love others.
As much as we can.
As much as we can.
Amen.
Amen.